So you may have heard a lot in the news lately about Google and their privacy practices and maybe even some other things that they do to influence their search results. I'm actually going to talk to you about a different search engine and how it has a couple of very unique tools, particularly for us in IT, that help with troubleshooting, quick reference, and things like that. I'm talking about DuckDuckGo. They take privacy very seriously, but they also have a developer community where you can actually build tools to work as part of their search engine as well. I'm going to show you some of my favorite quick search result tools that I use when using DuckDuckGo, particularly in the IT world. So with that being said, let's dive in and I'll show you some examples. All right, to get started, go to DuckDuckGo.com. You'll land at a page that looks like this. If you're not familiar with DuckDuckGo, you can actually scroll down and there's information available here about what the system does with your personal information, or in this case, what it doesn't do with your personal information. So be sure to check that out. When you're ready to start searching, you can simply type your search term and it's going to autocomplete and autofill the same way as the other search engines you may be familiar with. In this case, let's start by talking about some of the cheat sheets that you can get from the quick answers on DuckDuckGo. So for instance, let's look for a Windows cheat sheet. We have our search results, but we have this quick answer available here. You can expand it and it has quick reference material for Windows, different key commands and so forth. We could also do this for Mac. Similarly, we can do this for Linux as well. That covers your key operating systems, but there's also more. Regular expressions. We can find those in cheat sheet format as well. You can also find cheat sheets for different scripting languages this way as well. So we can say shell and we get different shell commands. We can look for Powershell if you're more of a Windows user. And the list goes on and on and on, right? So JavaScript, PHP, Node.js, so on and so forth. From a Sys Admin perspective, it's important to check different details of network connectivity, whether it be IP address, subnetting information, DNS. We can actually do a lot of that right from here as well. So let's go ahead and try one. We will do what is my IP address. You will see your IP address listed and you'll get a pretty close estimate as to the physical location of that IP address. Speaking of IP addresses, if you type in a IP address and some subnet information in Cedar notation, you can actually get the subnet information, subnet mask, the number of hosts, which host specifically was specified, right? So if we change the host, this is host number 2 in this subnet, you get the broadcast address as well. While we're talking about connectivity, we can actually look at the whois information for a domain as well. Let's pick on Google since they like to share our personal information. We'll take a look at theirs. We see here the last updated time, the expiration date of their domain, and the registrar. Here you can see their name servers. Speaking of name servers, we can actually run DNS name server queries with DuckDuckGo as well. Let's go ahead and do that now, and we'll continue to pick on Google. We'll do, let's look up the name server records for Google. Here you can see name server records. We can do start of authority records. We could do an A record query and see what result we get back there. We could do a quad A record as well to get back the IPv6 information. Finally, an MX record tells us the mail exchangers for their domain. If DNS is working, there's actually another tool called Is It Up? And this actually runs an HTTP request to the page. It shows you it seems to be up. It took a very short period of time to respond. We've got a 301, which is a redirect, and this address is what came back when we attempted to connect to google.com. So those are just a handful of the instant answers that are available as part of DuckDuckGo. If you go to duck.co/IA for instant answers, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this. There are actually over 1,000 instant answer tools that are built and are part of the DuckDuckGo search engine. You can scroll through the instant answers and see many of them. They are certainly not all IT related. In fact, most of them are not. Things like airlines, air quality, weather, calculator, you name it. There are a whole bunch of them in the list here, so be sure to go to the link and check it out. I'll have this in the video description as well. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you have questions, comments, tips, tricks, other ideas, leave them in the video comment section below. Like I said, I'm just finding some of these for the first time myself, so if you know of other tips or tricks, again, leave them in the video comment section below. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back sometime soon.